Drizzle on the window, coffee in my hand. Morning starts so slowly in our sleepy land. Raindrops keep on dancing.
Hi, welcome to Once Upon a Stitch Nook at my desk where the creativity happens. We are going to be doing a tutorial for, depending how long this takes, I might break it up into several videos or the full set, starting with the hat. So here you have the hat and it's a little cat ear beanie. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to make it into a different colorway this time because I picked up some fun yarn. So I'm going to set that aside, and what I'm using here is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Low Pill Fiber in the colors purple. This is, I believe, the same one in, where's the color? Purple Gray Multi. And then this is just, I love this yarn, and I don't know what color it is. It's like a periwinkle or something, lilac or something like that. It's just something I have extra that I thought would pair well. Isn't that gorgeous? So I'm going to try to see how much I can get done while I still have the light. I'm sorry. So you're going to need 3 colors to do it this way. You can, of course, do more or simplify it further if you want. But I'm going to basically swap out the darker green for the darker purple, the lighter green for the lighter purple, and the main pink is going to be the multicolor. Okay, and I forgot to mention you're going to need 2 hook sizes. I use a 3.5mm hook and a 4mm hook. These are quite beat up. We're starting with the smaller one for the ribbing. And so if you've never done ribbing in crochet before, it's quite easy, and there are a few different styles you can do it, but this one is going to be kind of a midway one. So you're going to chain, or at least what I like for the brim, it's going to be a little fold over brim. I do 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we have 6 chains and then 1 extra. If you want your brim longer, you can add some extra chains, or if you want it shorter, you can shorten it. It's entirely up to you. Now I like to start in the back loops, so starting from the second from my hook, or you can just work into chains normally, you're going to single crochet your way across. So you should end up with 6 single crochets. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now this following row is going to be the repeat row. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to single crochet into the back loop only all the way across. And I'm going to start hiding this tail within it. You don't have to do that. You can weave it in at the end if you want, but I just like to save myself some work. So you're going to single crochet, not sure how well that's showing up, in the back loop only. And if you've never done that before, I'm sorry, I'm trying to really beat the light here. You have these 2 loops that make up your top of the stitch that are creating these V's, and you're just going to be working into the back one instead of both of them as usual. So just work your way across like so. And then here I am at the end. I should have 6 stitches. Oops, the tail's getting twisted. There we are. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and again working single crochets in the back loop only all the way across. And you're going to be repeating that until this can comfortably fit snugly around your head. And you might want to give it a little extra, because this is going to fold over the front of your hat. At least how I have it styled. You can also not have it fold over and make the top hat shorter if you don't want to give it that extra width. We'll go over that later. Chain 1, turning my work, and continuing. I single crochet in the back loop only. So here you're seeing how it's developing this rib-like look. It's a little different than your knit. I would usually do slip stitching to make it closer to a knit look rib, but that takes a long time. So you can basically use this method either by slip stitching in the back loop only, back and forth, or like this one, which is single crocheting in the back loop only, back and forth, half double crochet or double crocheting in the back loop only. It will just look different and have a different kind of stretchiness. So if you want to swap this out for a different method, I have a tutorial where I went over a few of those. You can check that out. I'll try to remember to link it. But for now, work this band until it can fit around your head comfortably. Alright, so you see I have worked up my ribbing. I made it slightly smaller than this one, but roughly about the same size. Check down my head. It's comfortable with a little extra give so that when we do the fold over, it'll be good. So what we're going to do now is fold the ribbing band so that the ends match up without twisting it. And you can either cut the yarn and sew it up, or you can slip stitch it. I think I'm going to just slip stitch it together. I'm just going to slip the two sides together. Sometimes I'm more particular about how it looks and what sides I slip stitch on, but I'm not going to be too particular, I think, for this tutorial. It looks fine to me. And there we go. So now we have it in the round, and the rest of the hat will be worked in the round. And we're going to do a color change. So what I like to do when I do a color change is to go back on the last stitch, if you will. So I'm going to make this last slip stitch be joined with the new color. And I'm going to join the light purple, or we're going to call this the third color, and this is the second color, and then the main color we're going to call the first color, which in this case is this one here. So I'm going to join it here with the slip stitch. You can color change however you like. And then the row is going to be chain one, and you're going to single crochet around in just making sure that it is divisible by 2. It doesn't much matter. You just wanted to make it fairly even around. And so I'm going to work over my tails as I do that, and just make sure by the end when you count your stitches of single crochet that they are divisible by 2. I'll pick up with you once we reach the other end. Just editing me to pop in here. Don't worry, I haven't skipped anything. Just letting you know I completely forgot to switch my hook size, so I went back and redid this, and I will be showing you how to do this stitch right after this clip. I just wanted to make sure I told you to switch and up your size. You can, of course, keep continuing this, but I find allowing this to be a little tighter is good for making it last a little longer and more snugly. So anyway, I will now go on and show you how to do the jasmine stitch. Alright, there's some noise outside, so I hope that doesn't pick up too much. So as I come to my last stitch here I'm going to color change on it. You can color change again however you like, but I like to do it by finishing the last stitch that we do by pulling in the new yarn. I find it makes a little better transition, and I'm going to kind of wrap this yarn to secure it a little further over around the hook, bring in this yarn, and then I'll slip stitch to join the round. So there we have our first base stitch for the rest of the hat. Now we're going to do the fun jasmine stitch, and this is I've altered it a little bit for how to do it, so it's pretty fun once you get the hang of it. And so in this case, since this is kind of chunky yarn, I'm not doing as much of a puff stitch, but I will show you that if you want to make this thicker. So you'll start with a loose chain, and we're going to do a 2-petal jasmine stitch here. So what we're going to make is basically 2 legs. So if you were to do a puffier stitch, you would yarn over, insert into the same stitch as you are already in, yarn over, pull through, like you would do for a double crochet or a half double crochet. You're going to yarn over again, insert into that same spot, yarn over, pull through. So you now have 5 stitches. You would yarn over, skip a stitch, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and repeat that again. So now you have a lot of these are creating kind of these going to be these puff stitches. Now the part of the jasmine stitch is you're going to kind of use your fingers here to pinch and hold back some of this active yarn as you yarn over and pull it through, because you want to keep it outside and not fully within the stitch. So you're going to pull through all the loops while holding on to it here. and you can kind of adjust the tension just to have a little bit of a loop that you can see. You're going to insert your hook into that loop that from that active yarn that you held on to. Yarn over, pull through that loop, and pull through the loop on your hook. And that is to do your 2-petal jasmine stitch, as I'm calling it. Now that's if you're going to go very puffy. But for this case, since I'm using a 4-weight yarn and it already is kind of chunky, I'm going to just yarn over, insert, pull through, skip 1, yarn over, insert, pull through. So we're going less bulk. Then I'm going to yarn over while pinching my yarn like we just did, pull through all the loops, and then I have this loop here. I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull through that loop and the loop on my hook. And so there we have it. It's a little multicolored, so I hope it's easy enough to see. All right, now what we're going to do is make 3 petals. So we have the 2 bottom ones here. We want 1 in between, kind of midway through the flower, and then 2 more bottom ones. So we're going to call this the jasmine stitch. So you're going to chain 1 loosely again. Going to yarn over, and you're going to treat this spot here at the point. This is like the middle of the flower, or where you the top of this stitch. This little hole we're going to insert into here and treat that as a stitch spot. So then you yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 or 5 depending if you're doing the puffier stitch. You're going to yarn over, insert into the same spot as the end of this stitch ends in. So you're going to join into that spot as well. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, skip a stitch, and then insert, yarn over, pull through. So very similar to the first one, except for that extra step. We're adding extra petal. Then you'll yarn over while holding on to your active yarn, and I'm going to pull it through all the loops. Sometimes you need to work it a little more to make sure you get the hook through all of them. And you're also providing more tension than usual by holding on to the yarn. Then insert into that loop space from the active yarn and pull through that and the loop on your hook. And there you go. And we're going to repeat that. So I'll show you again. Chain 1 loosely. You'll work into the center point here, into the same stitch as that last petal is in. You'll skip 1 and then make another petal. So here are your petals all ready. You'll hold on to the active yarn, yarn over and pull through all loops. Insert into that active loop, then yarn over and pull through all the way, like so. We'll do it one more, a little faster. And then you're going to do this all the way around until you end your last stitch into the same stitch as your beginning stitch here. So you're going to want to end here. And again, make sure that on this row you had it divisible by 2 so things line up as they should. So I'll see you at the end of this round. Oh, okay, so that's where I need to address. So I done my last jasmine stitch and I've ended into the first stitch we did. So it's been color changing, so you can see that there. We're getting into more gray color. But anyway, so what we need is, since the base of this bottom part of the jasmine stitch builds on doing a middle stitch and then 2 bottom stitches. Middle stitch, 2 bottom stitches. And then you see how it creates for this. Each flower so far has 4 petals. So what we're going to do, because here we don't have that middle stitch to connect these 2, so we just need to add a petal. So we're going to lightly loosely chain 1, and we're just going to make 1 petal. So that is just it. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, and instead of going anywhere else, we're going to leave it there, holding the yarn, pulling through the yarn, insert into where we held it, pull through both, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of the first stitch. So here we have them all joined in a beautiful seamless round. Now for the top of the jasmine stitch. So what you're going to do is, again, we're going to do the 2-petal jasmine stitch. So lightly chain 1, yarn over, insert, and here we're treating, instead of like skipping a stitch, we're skipping the middle petal, and we work into this center, and we're always going to be working into the centers. So yarn over, insert into the center where we are, yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, we're skipping that middle stitch, we're treating it as a stitch essentially, and then into the center hole, yarn over, insert, yarn over, and pull through, so that you have your loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through while holding the active yarn, and then finish that off. Now, the only difference between now this and the previous jasmine stitch is we don't want to make another petal on the top. So you'll see how this is going to kind of create the flower effect. You're going to simply chain 1. That's kind of representing where we kept the petal before. And then you do the 2-petal jasmine stitch. So you're going to insert into the same hole where you just worked, yarn over, insert into the next stitch here, into the next hole, yarn over, and then finish your stitch as usual. And then you'll continue, chain 1, and then make the 2-petal jasmine stitch into the 2 holes, starting in the one you already worked into, and then starting into the next one. Chain 1 and repeat. So go ahead and do that all the way around. This one should go faster than the previous row. All right, coming up on the end, I have joined into the beginning center. We're going to chain 1 again and a slip stitch. Now here I want to do a color change, so I'm going to do the slip stitch with the next color. So we're going to repeat basically dark purple, light purple, and then the multicolor or your first color. So 1, 2, and 3. Here, as I have it in the pattern, I cut my purple yarn. I'm leaving the light purple attached and kind of working it up so that I'll just pull it up. And I'm going to do that with this as well. You can either cut or be bringing them up from the inside. That is up to you. So I'm going to bring in the dark purple to finish that join. Here we go. I'm going to give it a little more of a tail. Going to chain 1, and then these 2 rows are going to just be single crochet rows. So this one, we're working onto the jasmine stitch, and what you're going to do is treat the center as a stitch and then the chain as a stitch. Center as a stitch, chain as a stitch. You can kind of just, by looking at the top, they are excessive because of how we needed to cinch the jasmine and then do a chain. So I'll show you how that looks. So looking kind of at the center, going to single crochet there, then working into the chain space here, which kind of has 2 chains by looking from the top. Then you're going to see where the 2 petals match. That's the center there. I'm going to single crochet that. Whoops, I don't mean to carry the light purple with me, just the dark tail, sorry. So I'm going to go back. So yeah, just at the point where the petals are meeting, which kind of like we've been treating as a center of a flower, but not center in this case because we're not continuing the flower pattern. We're just keeping it at this one. So you're going to end up with a 6-petal flower, if you see that there, where they're kind of all lined up here. And you can see mine is already kind of plushy, but you can make it chunkier if you do it with the other method I showed you for making them more puff stitches. So that's entirely up to you, but this is simple. Just work your way. I like this round. I don't know why. Something about it is very satisfying. But just single crochet your way across, and I'll catch up with you on this next row. Okay, here I am at the end, and I want to do a color change. So my slip stitch to join is going to be with the next color, which is the light purple in this case. Chain 1, and then here, very simple, very straightforward. You're going to single crochet all the way across. Nothing complicated here. Oh, isn't this looking pretty? I love this. This is so pretty. This is probably going to be mine. Okay, and then to slip stitch to join, I'm going to color change. So I'm going to bring in the multicolor or your main color to do the slip stitch, chain 1 loosely, And then you're just going to be repeating these 4 rows. So the 2 rows for the jasmine stitch, the bottom and the top, only difference being one gets a middle petal throughout, and this one uses the chain in place of that. Then 2 rows of single crochet, and then you just keep repeating that until it fits your head fairly well. Let's see, on this one I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 repeats of the jasmine, and then 1 row at the top. You're going to end on the dark purple row, unless you want to end on the light purple row, and that's up to you. And then we'll sew it together and we will be done. Okay, so I have worked up my rows. I ended on the second single crochet row because this hat is turning out a little smaller. I think I had a tighter tension this time than on my pink version. So I wanted to add a little extra, and I think it'll stretch a little bit. So I cut my yarn, I wove in the ends of the other 2 and giving myself a nice long tail. And now I'm going to use my tapestry needle. I'm going to snip those edges to be a little cleaner, make that easier. And then I'm just going to sew up the top of the hat with whatever your preferred method is. Personally, I'm just going to weave in and out to end up at the corner here. So, and I can probably make this smaller. I think this is too much yarn. Okay, and so I just want to weave myself here. You can of course just use your hook if you don't have a tapestry needle. I've just found I much prefer working with a tapestry needle for sewing anymore. I'm a little weird. I do like sewing my crochet and knit pieces. Okay, so there I am. I'm going to just do a sort of back and forth. I don't remember what this is called, but just working on through the opposite ends of the stitches. I match them up, I poke through to the other side, and I pull through. Then bring it back around, poke through to the other side, and so on. So I'm going to do that all the way down. Okay, and I just wove it through here to secure it so it's not going to go anywhere. And that is our hat. It is all done. Now, one more extra step you can do if you want. This is the typical way it would lay, where it's very open and they just kind of make their natural ears. But on this hat, what I did, because I wanted to see if I could really make the ears always secure, I ran some yarn and threaded through here to cinch this part down so that the actual head part, let's see, does this and the ears are pinned. But I'm finding that was good at this time, but so you would just kind of pick 2 points you would want your ear. I would suggest using your main color, weave in and out, just kind of secure it just a little bit if you want to do that. But I think this is plenty cute, and I'm going to leave it as is. And you see I folded over the brim here. Options I'll mention is also if you want to keep it down, you can. I like the little extra here. And probably what I'd do if I would do this again, because I'm not crazy about this lighter color on the bottom, I might make twice the length of this ribbing. So we did, I think 5, I might do like 12 so that the fold over has some room to make this entirely a fold over ribbing, and then maybe I would sew it down, maybe not, and then the rest as we did. So that's up to you. You can customize it, of course, change it up, you know, use different ribbing, but that is the Jasmine cat ear beanie.